Hello my dear friends, you're on the Military Summary channel. In this video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous 12 hours. We have a lot of very interesting updates, so let's start. And first we're going to talk about the United States of America. We have a lot of very interesting updates from there. I would like to remind you that the day before yesterday, 2 days ago, the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, arrived in the USA, and his purpose was to convince Trump to give him Tomahawk missiles so he would be able to use them to attack deep inside of the territory of the Russian Federation. Yesterday, on the 17th of October of 2025, Zelensky arrived at the White House where he were met by the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump. This conversation, these talks were very difficult but very interesting, as was later stated by the President Trump. So according to information we have, Trump received maps from Zelensky detailing the Russian defense industry's pain points. According to media reports, these maps could be used to force Moscow to end the war, according to a source in the Ukrainian delegation to RBC Ukraine. So I'm not sure that these maps are very useful, because I believe that the United States of America, having a stronger satellite base, most likely have all these maps and all these pain points across the Russian Federation. So I'm not sure that this map is very useful for President Trump. Anyway, the meeting was very important and very interesting, and right after this meeting, Zelensky made a lot of very interesting statements. Zelensky stated that Putin hates me. It seems strange to me that if they're trying to kill us, I'll have a different attitude toward this person. I feel the same way about him as he does about me. And probably this is a very important statement, because this statement tells us that Zelensky is not cold-minded, that he is not logical. Zelensky is run and is moved only by hate and anger. So that is why if you are run and if you are controlled just by anger, it is very dangerous to provide you missiles that can carry nuclear arm or nuclear warhead. So most likely decision of Trump was very useful and was very smart. The meeting with President Vladimir Zelensky of Ukraine was very interesting and cordial, but I told him, as I likewise strongly suggested to President Putin, that it is time to stop the killing and make a deal. Enough blood has been shed, with property lines being defined by war and guts. They should stop where they are, let both claim victory, let history decide. No more shooting, no more death, no more vast and unsustainable sums of money spent. This is a war that would never have started if I were president. Thousands of people being slaughtered each and every week. No more. Go home to your families in peace. So this is the statement of Trump, and later he also added that the meeting in Hungary will be bilateral. Zelensky will be in touch. Trump stated his sympathy for Orban and called Hungary a safe country for a meeting with Putin. So as of the, let's say, 18th of October of 2025, it's still unclear how exactly the president of the Russian Federation are going to enter Hungary, but the sources are saying that most likely the president of the Russian Federation will go through the Black Sea, then he will enter the territory of Turkey, then he will go through the Mediterranean Sea, then he will move in the direction of Bosnia and Herzegovina, probably Montenegro, then through Serbia, and then the president of the Russian Federation will enter the state of Hungary. So this is most likely approximately the road of the president of the Russian Federation for possible meeting that is going to take place within 1 or 2 weeks on the territory of Hungary. So let's wait and see what is going to be next, but obviously this is a very interesting situation, and this is a very huge humiliation of the entire European Union and Brussels itself. Now let's discuss the situation in Ukraine. During the previous night, the Russians carried out another massive missile attack and drone attack across Ukraine. The Russians were attacking, as you can see, mainly the eastern part of Ukraine. They were trying to damage and to destroy logistic roads. They were trying to damage and to destroy transportation systems and railway services. So with the purpose not to allow the Ukrainians to redeploy additional forces, reinforcements and reserves in the direction of the line of combat contact. Now let's discuss the situation about this line of combat contact, and first let's talk about the Kherson direction. During the previous 12 hours, the map, as you can see, has been changed. Basically today we got very interesting updates from different mappers. Before we start, let's compare the map between the dates. So this is the situation by the end of the 17th of October of 2025, and this is the situation by the beginning of the 18th of October of 2025. According to information we have, the Russians managed to improve their positions significantly across the river of Dnipro. The Russians captured several islands. The Russians managed to answer the Veliki Vilkhovoy Island, and the Russians managed to capture a settlement to the south of the city of Kherson. Furthermore, the sources are saying that Russians made several attempts to cross the river of Dnieper with the purpose to answer this micro-district of the city of Kherson, but telling the truth, as for now it's very difficult to say whether those attacks were successful or not. But I would like to remind you that yesterday several pro-Russian resources adjusted their maps as if the Russians managed to establish complete control over this territory. So we are waiting for additional updates, and most likely the battle for the city of Kherson has begun. And obviously this battle sooner or later will begin, because I would like to remind you that in 2 weeks or in a week a meeting in Hungary may take place, and this war can be finished anytime soon. So that is why the Russians understand that by the time the war finishes, everything they will control will be under their control in future, will remain under their control. So that is why they intensify their activities across the entire line of combat contact with the purpose to get as much as possible advantageous positions, probably even before next war that might take place within the next several years, or maybe not, but anyway Russians need as better as possible positions, in especially around the city of Kherson and of course in the vicinity of the city of Zaporozhye. Now let's talk about the Zaporozhye direction. During the previous 12 hours, the Russians managed to improve their positions a bit along the entire line of combat contact. This is the situation by the end of the 17th of October, and I would like to remind you that just yesterday we got reports that the Russians secured the settlement of Poltavka, and the Russians managed to capture the village of Privilya. Today this information was confirmed by different mappers. Furthermore, the situation was probably adjusted a bit in Russian favor in the area of Poltavka. A few more blocks were captured by Russia, and according to neutral mappers, the Russians managed to capture also this dense network of the fortifications on the Russian side of the river of Yanchul between the Uspenovka and Poltavka fortified territories. As we can see, the Russians continue their offensive operation. We believe that today or tomorrow the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation will confirm Russian control over the Poltavka fortified area, and then we're gonna see the battle for the Uspenovka fortified area, which also most likely will fall in Russian hands very fast. Now let's move further. Let's discuss the situation in the city of Pokrovsk. The situation is not just critical, this is already a huge and complete disaster for the armored forces of Ukraine on the territory of the settlement. If you remember, just yesterday we discussed that according to several pro-Russian resources, the western bank, the western flank of the city of Pokrovsk collapsed completely. We see these changes on maps that were provided by different Russian resources, and another important adjustment took place in the central part of the city. We're talking about the area around the railways. So this territory was also captured by Russians according to several pro-Russian resources. And today, more precisely this morning, some pro-Ukraine resources published a video. We will not watch this video because there are lots of casualties and violence, but there are 2 points. This is the first one and this is the second point, where the presence of the Russian units was recorded. So this thing is that Ukrainians were moving in this area. The Ukrainian soldiers were retreating most likely with the purpose to cross railways and to answer the northern part of the city of Pokrovsk, but Ukrainian soldiers were ambushed exactly in this point. So Russian soldiers attacked Ukrainians and they were wounded, or maybe even more. So based on this video we have adjusted the map. We have colored this territory under complete Russian control, and it seems that the southern part of the city of Pokrovsk is about to be captured by Russia. So we believe that with this situation and with this pace of offensive in coming 2 or 3 weeks, the map in this area will be changed probably very much, and most likely the city of Pokrovsk will fall before probably talks or negotiations about the peaceful settlement of the conflict starts. Now let's move further and let's discuss the situation in the Sliman-Sivers direction. During the previous 12 hours, according to information we have, the Russians improved their position significantly around the settlements of Novoselovka. This is the situation by the end of the 17th of October, and this is the situation by the beginning of the 18th of October. The Russians caught in cauldron Ukrainians in the area of Novoselovka. Furthermore, the Russians continue attacking and bombing the main logistics roads that goes in the direction of the city of Liman. During the previous 24 hours, we received lots of videos how Russians were destroying Ukrainian vehicles and Ukrainian facilities. And that's it for the short video. Military Summary channel reminds you to condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.